Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. It is the end of November now. 2024 has just freaking flown by. I know I say this every month, but I just feel like every month is going faster and faster and faster and faster than the last, and time is just flying. But that means it's time to talk about my favorite plants from this month. Plants that have brought me joy, that have grown new leaves, things that I'm excited about, that I'm loving right now. So I've got 10 things, or 9 plants and 1 general planty object that I am going to be sharing with all of y'all today. But before we get into that, I want to say, if you're new here and you don't know me already, hi, my name is Emma and I make houseplanty content all over the internet. So if you want to follow along with my houseplanty journey and maybe learn something along the way, stick around and watch some more of my videos and subscribe to my channel. If you are not new, welcome back. I really appreciate it. Let's get on to these favorites. I think the first one that I'm going to talk about is this one. Oh, hello, Cleo. Yeah, you gonna hang out? You're one of my favorites every month, baby. So this here is my alocasia green unicorn, and it's one that I got in my Grow Tropicals video. Yes, it is new, but it has inspired a lot of research for me, and I feel like having been a plant parent for 5+ years, I know that's like nothing in the grand scheme of things, but I feel like it's kind of long in terms of like the current houseplant trend. But I feel like I've done a whole bunch of research in that time, and in the last couple of years, it hasn't felt like I've needed to do that research much anymore, and nothing's kind of excited me as much when it comes to research lately, until I got this beautiful thing, which is a hybrid alocasia. A hybrid between an alocasia aeschynanthus and a dragon scale. And it's produced this freaking gorgeous, like, beautiful alocasia. And I've just kind of gone down, not a rabbit hole, but I've just been really enjoying learning about different hybrids. And so it's really re-sparked an interest for me in alocasias. I mean, I already really loved alocasias, but this one really extra ignited that, and I have been really enjoying learning more about hybrids and how they're made and different common hybrids and stuff like that. It's just been an absolutely amazing journey. I know I've spoken about this a couple of times in recent videos, but it's just been something that I've really been enjoying learning about in like this past month, and I look forward to continue learning about it in the months to come, years to come, and maybe potentially trying to cross-pollinate alocasias for myself. That would be really freaking cool. Also, sorry if the tripod moves, Cleo is underneath it. But yeah, this one is just bringing me so much joy, and I'm feeling so glad that it brought such a spark to me. I didn't know that it was going to, if that makes sense. So yeah, very excited about this one. Next, we've got another alocasia. When making this list, I feel like, okay, so I'm gonna be honest with you, there's a lot of alocasias on this list because I'm having an alocasia moment right now and just really enjoying them. So there are several that are doing quite well that I'm like fangirling over a little bit at the minute. But this next one I am so pleased with. It is my alocasia stingray, and it has just put out the biggest leaf I've ever had on an alocasia stingray. I've had such bad luck with alocasia stingrays in the time I've had one. I feel like this is my 3rd or 4th one, and I've always really struggled to get them to size up and grow bigger. But this is the first time I've actually succeeded before it died. Knock on wood that I don't kill this one now that I have like gotten it to this point, but I've never been able to get them to the point where they do the like really cool super stingray thing that this one's doing here. So I'm thoroughly enjoying this one. I don't know if it is because I've been more patient with it, I've given it more light, I think I've given it more fertilizer in the past few months. Like this past growing season, I was really focusing on making sure things stayed really watered, really fertilized, and light enough, because that is just, it's something you got to do. And I feel like I've kind of not mastered it, because I'm never going to be able to like fully master it, but I feel like I've gotten to a good place in it in my journey, and a lot of the growth of my plants has been reflecting that. So The alocasia stingray, I can't believe I'm getting there. And like even the previous leaf is absolutely huge, and it's not as like leggy. You can see this leaf hasn't grown as tall. The new one hasn't grown as tall as the previous ones that were on smaller leaves. So I feel like, again, it means I'm doing something right and giving it a better environment so it's not growing as leggy. Also, I'm loving the pots that I've got it in, some no drainage in here. I think it's loving it as well. Let me show you some root action. Look at those gorgeous roots. There's so many on all the sides. It's doing so well. And so I'm just very proud of it, and I'm proud of myself for getting it to this place. It's just so exciting. Like, this is the best leaf I had to this point thus far, and it has just kept getting better and better with these new ones. Oh, I'm in love. It's so much fun. Departing from alocasias for a moment, the next one is my black pagoda lipstick plant, but I wanted to show this one off because it has been flowering so much this month. It has really started to get in there with the flowers and push them out, but they're all over, especially this main branch in here, and it is so exciting. I think it's actually loving as well now that I've put it into my window again. I think it's missed being in the window a bit, but since it has really picked up its flowering once again, and I get to further enjoy these little alien snails that it puts out because they're just so freaking cute. It hasn't necessarily grown loads since you might have last seen it leaf-wise because I had to take it out of the window, but I think now that it's back in the window and getting loads and loads, or as much as possible, natural light, because I mean it's not the brightest place here in the UK, but it's getting as much possible light as it can here in my home. So that is really exciting. I think they're so stinking cute, these little flowers, and I'm just so glad it is happy enough to bloom so prolifically. And I think it should continue to bloom this prolifically through most of the winter. I'm pretty sure this is the time of year that aeschynanthus prefer to bloom. They like to bloom over the winter. I'm not sure why that is the case, but it is, and I'm not mad at it because it gives more excitement to enjoy over this time when it's like typically kind of dark and your plants stop growing a bit. So it adds a little bit of extra excitement into my week whenever I get to look at this and see more blooms in there. Speaking of light though, the next thing that I want to talk about that has been an absolute lifesaver for me this month has been all of my grow lights. So I'm very lucky that today it is nice and sunny. You can see there's sun and rainbows going on in my home, which I love. I absolutely love when it's sunny and bright, but the days are so freaking short these days, and for the most part the weather has been fairly cloudy and cold, and it's just been fairly dark. And so I have been very heavily relying on my grow lights throughout this time, and not only do I think my plants have been really benefited by them, I think just in general it's made me feel happier in my home, and it just means that my plants can continue growing a little bit better as well. So I know it's not a plant, but there's something that have been really making me feel better, and I've enjoyed trying new ones as well, like trying the Barina ones has been really fun, trying the new mother one I have is great, and enjoying the old ones I have as well. Literally all of them. I mean, if you want to know more about my grow lights, I've got a grow light deep dive video where I have a bunch of links and stuff, and I talk about the different lights they put out and my thoughts on all of them. So go there if you want a detailed list, but this is just a time for me to reflect on how much I appreciate the grow lights in my home, because they really have been making such a difference. And if I didn't have grow lights in my home, I feel like I would be a whole heck of a lot sadder, because almost every morning, even if it's like bright outside and gonna be sunny, almost every morning I'm getting up and putting on the grow lights in my living room because it's still dark out when I'm getting up. The sun might not have even risen yet. And so being able to put the grow lights on and them be useful for my plants and myself has just been an absolute joy during this particularly dark time, and it will continue throughout all of the winter months. And I mean, it'll continue forever, really, let's be honest. But I don't feel like I need to rely on them nearly as much in the summer months as I do in this time of year when it is dark and cold. So yeah, I'm very, very happy that my grow lights exist and that I can use them, and I have so many in my home that really light up the space. Another new plant that I got that I'm very, very, very excited about is my variegated cast iron plant, my variegated aspidistra. Cleo, stop moving my stuff. But I got this new plant to put into the hallway to give that some height with a plant that could tolerate a little bit lower. But I really freaking love the variegation on this one. I love how freaking stripy it is and gorgeous. I know it has a little bit of funkiness at the top of this leaf here. I don't mind. I'm just excited to continue getting this one to grow well and produce more of this little nice variegated stripes in here. I think it is really cool, and I think it thoroughly brightens up that space, and it makes me happy. It's just a new one that I'm really excited to add to my collection. I mean, I know I already have a piece that does have some, like a tiny, tiny little bit of the stripes, but this one comparatively genetically is so much better than the variegated aspidistra that I have in my mixed pot in the living room. So I'm very excited to join this into the collection, and if one day I don't want to keep it in that spot in the hallway and I want to join it in with the other, I think it's going to like add so much to that pot as well. So I'm very, very, very excited about this one. Another alocasia. Oh, come on. Are we coming? Yep, okay. Another alocasia. My alocasia cuprea in here. Oh, do you see the shine on this new leaf? And the size of it as well. Just look at the size of it. This is the biggest cuprea leaf I have ever had. I have not struggled necessarily with my cuprea, but it's taken a lot of time to get it happy again. For the longest time, it was only putting out leaves that were about this size, not much bigger, just doing fine. And now we've got a whole hand-sized leaf here, and just like the colors on it, the shift in it from purple to green is amazing, and it is so leathery, shiny in here. I feel like it still hasn't quite hardened off all the way, so it very well could continue sizing up, which is super duper exciting. And it's just, again, doing so well and is really thriving its best alocasia life. I mean, the Aeschynanthus in here, to be honest, is not doing fantastic because I've got a mixed pot with cuprea and Aeschynanthus. I know they're not the same plant, but I feel like they are similar vibes enough that I could put them together. The Aeschynanthus is not doing fantastic. It is so much smaller than the cuprea. I'm kind of not surprised, but we are doing really well in here. And also the new leaf on the second plant of the cuprea has also popped out and is doing phenomenally. So it is very, very exciting. Next up, we've got this one here, which y'all saw probably in my moss pole video, but I am feeling absolutely obsessed with my philodendron majestic at the minute. Its new leaves are freaking huge, and I absolutely love it. It is doing so well, and it has just been popping out new leaf after new leaf. I've got 2 going on right now, and the growth on it is so much bigger than the growth that it had even at the beginning of this year. I'm really excited to look back on this one because I think next month I'll be doing my plant goals review video, and this is one of the ones that was part of my plant goals to size it up, and I feel like I'm actually getting to the point where it has started to size up a little bit, and I'm really glad and proud of it. I think I've just been doing a really good job at keeping my moss poles moist. I think, okay, to be honest, I feel like I've just done a good job this year, and maybe I haven't been doing a good job in the past, but this year I feel like I've just done a good job with my plants. And I don't mean that in a braggy way, I just feel like I'm really proud of myself for being a good plant parent this summer. I feel like I've been a better plant parent than I have in previous years, and I feel like the majestic here is just proof of that. The fact that I'm able to get it to grow bigger and upsize is just so nice. I can't wait to see what it looks like once it gets to the top of this pole. It's going to be so freaking exciting. Oh, it's doing so well. I can't believe it. This one here is one that I don't think I really ever show, just because it's taken quite a long time for it to kind of get going. So this is one of the first anthuriums I grew from a itty bitty seedling, like the tiniest little seedling, and it is a variegated anthurium magnificum. And so I definitely agree with a lot of people that some variegated anthuriums look quite unwell. Most variegated anthuriums don't look healthy, but this one, it is, I feel like, so minty that it doesn't look unwell. It just looks minty. So I feel like the variegation is acceptable on this one, but it is finally getting to the point where it's putting out quite good regular veiny growth, and it's even got a bit of new growth in there. So I'm really excited to see how that new growth comes in, and I hope that it comes in well. This one is living in my pond box currently, and I think it is quite glad that I gave that whole thing a clean out recently and put more grow lights in there. I feel like it needs it in order to keep this very beautiful minty variegation on it. So I'm hoping that it continues to grow well and is liking its sort of refresh situation. I'm hopefully going to try and not let the box get too freaking disgusting going forward. The last alocasia that I am currently really freaking enjoying is my alocasia heterophylla dragon's breath. This one, it has just been growing so freaking well for me. I've had to move it in the cabinet because it kind of outgrew that, but it has been regularly putting out absolutely huge, long, skinny new leaves with this sort of dark veining in here. It is just absolutely gorgeous and growing so well. It is just so big and beautiful and bushy, and I know that I'm very soon going to have to graduate this one to somewhere else in my home. And while I'm kind of nervous about it, I'm also kind of looking forward to it because I'm excited to see where this one goes and kind of put it a little bit more pride of place, maybe somewhere that I can see it from more than just the front angle. I feel like that will be quite nice because it is such a stunning alocasia that it absolutely deserves all of the recognition that it can possibly get. But just look at this leaf. How freaking cool is this leaf? I am just absolutely obsessed with this plant, and I'm just obsessed with alocasias this month. They're my current planty hyperfixation, and I'm absolutely loving them, and I want more. I want all of the alocasias. Just give them to me. I'm really enjoying them. Okay, for this last plant, I'm going to bring you to it, so let's go. Okay, can we just talk about all of these rainbows here? I am absolutely obsessed with them, and I think they look great, but that's not what we're here for. The last plant on my list of favorites is my scindapsus exotica here, but it's not for all of these lovely trails. While they are absolutely fantastic, it is currently shingling on my ceiling. And I'm actually really freaking excited for it. I noticed that it was like starting to shingle up there maybe a couple weeks back, maybe a month back, and I was just like, let's see where it goes. And so I have just left it, and it is continuing to shingle up there, and I think it looks really freaking cool. I've never had a scindapsus shingle for me before. I've tried growing them on moss poles, and it just wasn't the best for me in my home, and now it's decided that it wants to use the ceiling, which I know it probably will take a little bit of the paint off with it when I take it off eventually, but it just means that I can't move my scindapsus exotica unless I absolutely freaking need to, so I'm not planning on moving it for a while now. I just think it's a really cool thing. I've only ever seen scindapsus shingle like this in sort of like botanical gardens or like those big tropical greenhouses. I've never seen it in like a home, and so it's just a bit exciting and fun, and it's quite interesting to see how differently it grows when it's shingling versus when it is trailing, because the shingling leaves are much rounder than the trailing leaves. I find are a little bit longer and skinnier, and also I find some of the trailers to be bigger in size. The shingling ones are much smaller, and I think that's okay, but it's also growing towards like into more grow light, so I'm hoping that maybe they'll get bigger in time, but I'm really not sure. I'm just in it for the ride, and I think it's quite fun and cool and different, so I'm just going to enjoy it while I can. So that is it. Those are the plants that I am loving at the minute. The 10 plants and grow lights that I am obsessed with, that I am thinking about non-stop, and that I'm really enjoying watching grow right now. I'd be curious to hear what your top 10 or top 4 or top 3, whatever your top plants are at the minute. Let me know them down below in the comments. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up down below and subscribe for more. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Do not forget to keep growing. Bye!